I saw that Halo Runs was posting a bunch of tier lists, and all those lists included uh, runners from each one of the games, and kind of felt a little left out. Felt like this would actually be a great concept for Deathless runners because, well, there's only like 20 of us, so um, yeah, this should be a pretty short list. So we're going to start with arguably one of the greatest Deathless runners of all time, Corvin. Corvin has an average completion time over 4 hours, so we're already starting wonderfully. Corvin is Canadian, which is either a plus or a minus, depending on how you want to look at it. Corvin's also just like generally a really good runner. He's one of 2 people to get the Halo 3 Lasso Deathless trifecta with solo 2-player and 4-player. And he's the only Deathless runner in existence to get 2 Lasso Deathless completions back to back. And when I say back to back, I mean like 2 days back to back, but still pretty cool. And then he's also got this really cool picture of him smoking a cigar, so I don't know. I think that that's convincing enough for me to put him in S tier. Next up, we have Reflections. And Reflections is a really tough one to rank because he's kind of just gone. He showed up like one time and carried Jerv to a completion and then basically vanished, which is honestly kind of cool and definitely raises his rank in my eyes. He's also Canadian, so I'm thinking that my Canadian bias is showing a little bit here. But I don't know, carrying Jerv and then disappearing for like 8 months is kind of baller, so I'm going to go ahead and put him in the B tier. Next up, I was going to do John and Pon, but I'm going to start with Bejesus here. Because Bejesus is probably one of my favorite Deathless runners, and I truly do think that he's one of the greatest co-op partners of all time. I don't think I've ever seen Bejesus say no to a co-op opportunity. Like, money or not, this dude is just like always wanting to play Halo. It doesn't matter what the fuck you're asking him to do. Bejesus just randomly showed up out of nowhere and decided that he was just going to win Jerv's tournament, which is kind of fucking hilarious because, like, he was pulling like 2 viewers and then just randomly beat this shit, and it's just like, okay, well, damn, I guess. Dude was such a baller that at the time that he won the tournament, everyone thought that he was cheating or that he somehow had cheated. And then he proved them all wrong, and then he ended up giving $250 to the second place after that. So, like, I don't know. What is there to not love about Bejesus? All that being said, he is a VTuber, so I'm going to go ahead and put him in A tier. If his avatar had some big breasts, I might put it in S, but so far that is not the case, so we're just going to leave that in A. So on to John and Pon. John and Pon was actually one of 2 winners of the first ever Lasso Deathless race. John's a baller. I mean, he pays towards these tournaments, and he's one of the admins of the Halo Challenge Run server. He does a lot of great work. I mean, John's just kind of a great guy, and I fuck with him heavy. The only problem is he's big into Geometry Dash, so probably B tier at best. So I previously mentioned that Bejesus was just like this insane baller-ass co-op partner who basically never says no to anything. But honestly, Pedro might be even crazier. Like, Jerv could hit up Pedro and be like, hey, do you want to play Halo 4 Lasso Deathless like a week before the tournament's actually going to start? And he would just say yes, and that would just be that. Like, anyone that can sit through a Lasso Deathless 0-shot challenge for Halo 2 probably deserves S tier off rip. Pedro's also got some pretty great one-liners, so I don't know, dude. Like, this guy's kind of insane. Anyone who's willing to endure Halo 4 Lasso Deathless and 0-shot on short notice is kind of just like probably automatically an A tier, so I'm going to go ahead and throw him up there. Now I want to do Time Lord, but I kind of noticed something here. So these 2 people actually have such similar profile pictures, and this is really scary to me because one of these people is Smiley Boy and the other one is Figway, and I'm not entirely sure who is who. Assuming that the higher quality picture was Smiley Boy, which maybe is true, then I would say Smiley is probably easily in that, I don't know, maybe the C tier. It's not that Smiley is a bad Deathless runner, it's just that I don't want to place him too high given that his picture is so similar to Figway's, because Figway's kind of a whole can of worms to begin with. But also Smiley has 1 completion, and dude didn't give a fuck about that completion so hard that now it's just lost to time. Like, the VOD is just completely gone, and no one ever backed it up, so that's just gone. But no, Smiley's probably one of the best chatters in the world, and to be honest with you, That dude's also pretty crazy when it comes to co-op. Like, I know Smiley does not give a fuck about Halo 4, but the fact that he was willing to play with pretty much like 3 or 4 different people just to get attempts in for the Halo 4 race was kind of insane. So yeah, if this is Smiley, then I do apologize with this low placement, but at risk of this being Figway, I'm going to put you here. And also kind of because you just like let your VOD run out, and that's kind of like, what the fuck. But now if this is Figway, I kind of have to talk about the elephant in the room. Figway, unironically, might be the quintessential Deathless runner. Anyone with a 10-hour completion probably instantly deserves S tier, and trust me, there are multiple people on this list with an over 10-hour long completion. My first interaction with Figway ever was joining into his stream for the first time in multiple months, and he just almost immediately dropped a slur, so, I mean, like, I don't know, what's there not to love? Like, Figway is just so mythical, like, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Figway is just so mythical, it's just kind of crazy, like, everyone in the Deathless community knows of him, and I think everyone kind of fears him, because, like, even just, like, mentioning his name, it just sort of brings this, like, energy to the whole experience. But no bullshit, like, Figway does have completions for Halo 3 and Halo 2, and of course that 10-hour completion, everyone likes to joke about it, but I mean, he's brought that time down a lot, which, you know, is good, I guess. But I don't know, I feel like I'm obligated just because of like all the aura and all the memes associated with him to probably put him in A. If this is Smiley Boy and this is Figway, then I also feel like this can work for different reasons, but yeah, this is probably like the best that I can do at the moment. Now, Raw is an interesting case because he is the first person to do Halo 3 ODST Lasso Deathless, and he also currently holds the title for the fastest Lasso Deathless time. Raw is also another Canadian, which is kind of strange given how many Canadians there are actually on this list. I think you might be tempted to compare these two, that being Raw and Bloop. Bloop also has a Lasso Deathless completion in ODST, and he, as I mentioned before, he won the ODST tournament with John. So I think it'd be very easy to put these guys both in B. The big issue is that Bloop was top 100 in Rocket League and Raw wasn't. And there's no reason why that would affect Raw's ranking, but in this case, one has to be the winner. So I'm going to go ahead and lower Raw down to C. And then I'm going to feel bad for it, so I'm going to put him back into B. Bloop, I just don't think is an A tier as of right now. Like, as Raw will probably tell you about 500 times, he was the one who routed ODST Lasso Deathless and figured out a lot of this shit. So, you know, of course, Bloop and John, they really owe some of their success in the tournament and in their solo runs to what Raw actually set up. So I feel like this is a pretty good lineup so far. I would definitely not disagree with any of this. What I am realizing now is that John kind of doesn't belong here because, well, like I said, he plays Geometry Dash, so we're just going to bring him back down to C, actually. So I feel like I could talk about Pepper next, but instead I'm going to talk about Siles. Now, Siles has a very unique issue. Siles really has 2 tiers in this particular case, and that's what kind of makes this really complicated. So I'm going to introduce to you Siles and then Old Siles here. Now, the reason that I've decided to break this up into 2 tiers should become pretty obvious pretty soon here. We're going to start out with Old Siles, actually. Old Siles, I feel like, was the perfect Deathless runner. Old Siles didn't have a single completion that was under 2 hours, which I definitely think is a plus. Old Siles was also a part of that post-Moist Critical wave, like a bunch of other people on this list. New Siles, on the other hand, really has one big problem, which is that none of his runs count. See, New Siles, he does this thing that I'm not really too familiar with. It's called speedrunning. And I'm pretty sure speedrunning is just cheating because he basically never dies and somehow gets completions once every 2 weeks. So I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but I don't think that any of his runs count. I mean, his runs are just too quick. Like, he's got sub 2 hour runs. I mean, Deathless runs aren't supposed to be sub 2 hours. They're not even supposed to be sub 3 hours, so I'm not really sure what's going on there. So I think I'm probably going to have to put New Siles in D tier just because he doesn't have any valid runs. And then Old Siles, I think, definitely belongs in A tier. I mean, a 4-hour H2 Deathless completion is kind of beautiful. Plus, Old Siles basically knocked out all of the games in MCC within, like, I don't know, a couple months, like 3 months or something like that. So That's kind of crazy. I mean, Old Sal's by himself had more completions than almost everyone on this list. Well, actually, I think everyone on this list. So now let's talk about Enraged Pepper. Pepper's a bit of a weird one to place. The dude just kind of came out of nowhere and dropped one of the worst deaths in Halo 3 Lasso Deathless history.
Oh my god, bro, I flipped again. Will not splatter me. What? What? Oh my god.
He also decided to take a page from Fraser's book by just, like not filming his run in a single segment. But Pepper's pretty cool, He's got a solo completion, he's got a 4-player completion for Halo 3, and just recently he got a 2-player Halo 4 completion, became 3rd place on the H4 tournament. The only problem is it landed up taking him like a fucking month, so yeah, I really wanted to end that tournament. So yeah, C tier. Actually, now that I think about it, Raw's just been playing League of Legends, so I'm going to go ahead and switch these two. And yeah, I think that makes some sense. Toy Chest is a lot like a lot of guys on this list. He's always in chats, and he's always a great guy, nice and funny guy. Dude's got a lot of completions, has a lot of co-op completions as well. I mean, there's a lot to love. Toy Chest is also someone who, he may not finish every run he starts, but he's always kind of interested in doing Deathless, which I just think is kind of baller. So, I mean, he may end up starting Halo 3 and then starting Reach and then going to Halo 2 again and then doing speed runs and kind of a lot of that circular stuff. But it really doesn't matter because he's just kind of always doing something, and I kind of fuck with that. So, like, on a serious note, I'd honestly probably put this dude in B. He's just like a super supportive community member, and he's always doing runs of his own, so, I mean, like, kind of just super cool. Time Lord's another one of these guys where it's just like, he's also super supportive. You're going to see him in basically every single stream. Lately, I think he's lost his mind because he's been trying to bop Siles on H3 Lasso, and he's most recently definitely lost his mind by attempting to do H5 Lasso Deathless. Him, Pepper, Bejesus, Corvin, Siles, all these guys have H3 Lasso Deathless completions, and I actually got to know a lot of these guys just from Jurev's H3 tournament. And like, I know that this list hasn't been super serious so far, but like, I kind of can't even think of a joke about Time Lord. He's just like a cool dude. I mean, it's kind of a similar case to Toy Chest, except Time Lord I think just like doesn't give a fuck, and he just like, yeah, I definitely want to do Halo 5. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, I definitely think he is up there, right? Probably in A. Like, this dude's been doing ODST. He's been doing Halo 3. Dude was super active during Lasso Plus. He's the only one who's touched Halo 5. I think the only game he hates with a passion is Halo 4, which honestly might put him in S tier. But yeah, definitely easily an A tier for me. I think it's actually another thing that I want to mention about Reflections and kind of why I put him here. He might not be the most active guy, but that dude is in like every chat, and that's something that definitely is going to win a lot of points. Like, we're all a big community, and we all kind of fuck with each other. So if you're in chats a lot, I mean, that's basically like being there for the run. Foxcourt's another one that's really hard to place because he is such a strange guy. Like, he just got his first co-op completion with Halo 4 of all things. And the dude just like randomly showed up during Lasso Plus and kind of like obliterated some levels like Library. This guy's a pretty crazy co-op partner as well. Like, I definitely want him on my team for shit. Anyone who's willing to sit through H4 is honestly kind of a beast. At least for right now, he's kind of just like Pepper's co-op partner, which makes it kind of hard to rank. So I'm going to go ahead and put him in there with John and Raw. I know it might seem blasphemous to put him right here next to Raw, but you have to remember that Raw plays League of Legends. Josh is probably one of the greatest Deathless runners of all time, and I'm not even joking. What you have to understand about Josh is he literally only plays Halo for money, and he has a girlfriend. So I truly think he's better than all of us, so I'm going to go ahead and put him in S tier right now. But on a serious note, I'm pretty sure Josh is within the top 5 for all-time Deathless completions, and it's literally just from being a call partner of Jurev's. So, I mean, like, if that doesn't say something about the fucking level that Josh brings whenever he is a co-op partner, I don't know. Our next runner here might unironically be the greatest Deathless runner of all time. Now, the case for this might seem a little bit strange, but you got to hear me out. Mandrake's average completion time is over 7 hours. Okay? That by itself automatically puts him in A. But then on top of that, you have some of the greatest rage moments of all time. And the fact that this dude was just like doing Halo Infinite Lasso Deathless with like no one knowing for the longest time is just so funny to me that I definitely think he deserves S tier easily. I mean, he might even be right here at the very, very top. Like, Mandrake is just a lover. Like, he might not be the fastest guy. He might not be the best Deathless runner. It just doesn't matter. Like, he is the best because he's not the best. This dude will stick out a challenge for as many fucking months as it takes. And I think it also is what separates him from a bunch of other runners. I think Mandrake will have a very bright future. It's just that it's probably going to take us about 5 more years to see some more completions. And that's totally okay because I'm going to be there for it. Next up is Zypher. Now, Zypher has 1 completion, and it's a co-op completion. And that's it. And then you remember that he's a Rust player, and he's Canadian. And he plays H2 of all games, which, like, I don't really know what's going on there. But listen, Zypher is in chats all the time. Like, him just being in chats and being supportive and talking with people is, like, super cool, and it really adds to that community element. So even though this dude doesn't have a lot of completions, I feel like he's been there for so many completions, which just, like, I mean, I don't know, that's got to count for something. So I think it's definitely pretty easy to go ahead and put him into that C tier category. Next up is Cutting Crew. And Cutting Crew is kind of one of my favorite Deathless runners. Cutting Crew is like a guilty pleasure Deathless runner. Like, everyone knows who Cutting Crew is if you've been in the Deathless community. And listen, like, Cutting Crew is a amazing runner. Like, I mean, he was fucking bopping trilogy times by like 5 hours or some bullshit. Like, there's no question that he has skill. It's just like his taste in runs is so fucking fried that it like actually makes me laugh. Like, this dude is known for showing up into Halo runs and pushing for, like, full path and no major glitch categories in, like, speedrunning servers. Like, Cutting Crew's Halo runs arguments would probably put him into A tier by themselves. But just the fact that, like, he isn't someone who just, like, talks the talk. He also fucking walks the walk. Like, he's not just arguing for these categories to exist. He's actually done these runs. Like, Cutting Crew has over 10-hour long runs, and he has multiple runs that are over 5 hours. So I don't know what to say other than that this dude is easily an A tier. I think the only thing that keeps him from really being into these upper echelons of highest tier Deathless runners would really just be his opinions on the newer Doom games. Like, just don't ever ask Cutting Crew about Doom because that's just going to turn into a multiple hour long conversation. All right, I feel like that wraps this list up pretty nicely. I think we've basically covered all the Deathless runners. I could have included a bunch of other guys. There were a lot of people who got single completions, but I really just tried to include, I think, a nice and variable list. A lot of guys who have done active runs recently or guys who are kind of just famous within the community and are semi-active. Also, this is an entirely serious list, and you should definitely take it very, very seriously. I thought about this for hours before making this, and definitely didn't just wing this on the spot. But yeah, I would say this pretty accurately represents the tiers. Maybe I move a couple people up and down, but yeah, that's basically it. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up now.